I'm Chris.
And this is the Week 6 closing line show for college football. If you would, do us a favor. If you're watching, we've already got a bunch of people jumping in on the chat. If you would, please do us a favor and like the video. Share it out. Tell your friends about it. And make sure that you are subscribed. We jump in and we do this thing every Saturday morning. It is going to be a good time. I will almost guarantee it. Chris and I are being bombarded with the remnants of a hurricane and all sorts of stuff. So if any one of us drops out at any point, the show will continue. Just going ahead and putting that out there right now. We hope it doesn't, but we're letting you guys know what's going on because we are right in the path, man. We are right in the path of this thing. So we're ready to rock and roll. Let's go ahead and dive in. Oh, hey, by the way, sbrpicks.com/NCAAF. Our articles are up over there. We've got a great team behind the scenes. They do wonderful stuff over there. sbrpicks.com/NCAAF. So along with subscribing to the channel and liking the video, make sure you go visit the website. Ton of in-depth data, all this kind of stuff, analytics, whatever else you need. We're going to help you pick winners. That's what we're here for. So, Chris, let's go ahead and talk about the games that were postponed right quick. There's only two, Coastal Carolina and Louisiana. That is moved to Wednesday night. So we've got Wednesday night football along with Tuesday night football in the NFL and Monday night football. And we've got a Thursday night game next week. And we got weeknight football all week next week. Does not get any better than that. And FAU and Southern Miss has been postponed due to COVID issues at Florida Atlantic. And we don't know what the date is going to be on that one yet. But those are the only two games that were on this card that are gone for now. So with that said, let's kind of recap Thursday and Friday. Tulane, Houston. Houston wins 49-31. It goes over the total of 56.5. I think that actually got up to like 59.5. But it went well over that. And Houston covered almost with ease after going down big in the first half due to, turnovers, this and that. Were you surprised?
No, this is Tulane football. They played a great first half and a terrible second half. They're going to pick half of the game, and they're going to be awesome at it. If you can guess what that half is going to be, you bet them that half, you bet against them the other half. That's just how you play the Tulane this year. They can't put 60 minutes together to save their life.
Louisville and Georgia Tech was last night.
Jesus.
46-27. The Yellow Jackets get the W. Louisville, opened as a 6.5-point favorite. That line went down, and then it started going back up. It went all the way down to 4. It was 3.5 at a couple of spots middle of the week. And then, good gracious, it went back up to about 5.5, depending on your book. And Georgia Tech, it was 27-26 Louisville in the fourth quarter, and they look completely different than the team that they were last year. You agree with this?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. We respect Satterfield as a coach. We think that he's, did really good things with that team that I just thought was trash last year. And I figured, man, you had a whole year with these guys. You had a whole offseason. I know it was a weird offseason, but not a lot changed in your life. And now, offensively, they're not great. Defensively, they're way worse. I don't know what in the hell happened at Louisville.
Who knows? All right, so with that said, we've got our recap out of the way. Let's go ahead and go over our picks from Tuesday again. I'll go ahead and tell you mine. These lines have obviously changed, but we're going ahead and letting you know exactly what we are on, what we have our money on today. I've got Virginia Tech plus 5.5 against North Carolina. I've got South Carolina minus 12.5 at Vanderbilt. Texas Tech plus 12.5 at Iowa State. Auburn minus 13.5 at home against Arkansas. I've got Boston College plus 6.5 against Pitt. And let's see. I've got two more. Kansas State plus 9 at TCU. And I've got Florida, Texas A&M over 56.5. I've also got a 7-point teaser. My money line parlay went out the window with Louisville. So that one's done. 7-point teaser, though, I've got Florida as a pick 'em. I've got South Carolina minus 6, and now it'd be like minus 6.5. Virginia Tech plus 12 and Temple plus 4. That is my 7-point teaser. Chris, what are your picks here?
Excuse me. I lost a Louisville game last night. That sucked. Starting off with a loss is never fun. I got Virginia Tech plus 5.5. You can get them at plus 4 today. I don't think you can find 5.5 anymore. Nope. Florida State minus 6.5 against A&M. you can get them today at a better number at 5.5. You shop around. South Carolina 12.5. You can still find 12.5 a couple places. Syracuse plus 2.5. That's still available at a couple places. Looking for the TCU number.
TCU is 10 at multiple spots.
So, right, so you're not getting. I had them at 12.5. You're not getting them at 12.5 anymore. I knew that went down, but I didn't know what.
But are you talking Texas Tech or TCU?
Oh, Texas. I'm sorry, Texas Tech. Texas Tech. Hey, you can get Texas Tech better. You can get Texas Tech at 13.5. I had them at 12.5. My Bama and Ole Miss numbers, I got no clue what to do with. They didn't move the game. It's going to be a gully wash, I think, in Oxford. Moving it back an hour and a half, I don't think did much of anything. Nope. I don't even have any opinion to tell you what to do with that. So I'm off of it. I'm not going to talk about it. Notre Dame minus 20.5. That is up to 21. It's probably going to keep climbing before kickoff. So if you want to get it before it hits the hook, I'd do it. And let's have this line world. Okay, do you talk about it now or do you wait to get into that game?
Well, let's hold off just a minute. We're going to roll through the actual morning slate. Let's jump into the comments right quick. Bro Dibble said, yes, sir. We've got, just a ton of comments here. This is fantastic. You guys keep tossing in your opinion. I want to know what your picks are. Let us know what's going on. The Colonel said, good morning from Knoxville. He tossed in his hashtag Go Big Orange. Let's go, man. Let's get these locks from Turn Me Up. Larry Turd jumps in. Let's see. Lee Fedorchak. Good morning, everyone. Let's see. Lost my second house on Louisville. Now I have to win it back today. I love it. I think Missouri covers the spread. This point spread was 19. Now it's down to 14. Well, that's because they moved the game, but we'll talk about that. Let's see. What's up, Gary Chris? What's up? Top of the morning. Moneyline parlay, Mississippi State, Texas, and Virginia Tech. Oh, that'll definitely pay out. Let's see. Colonel said, we're in agreement on all of your straight plays. Yeah, that's a little frightening. All right. So let's go ahead and jump into this slate here. We're going to start the noon slate with Florida and Texas A&M. All right. Florida opened a 6-point favorite. They are still basically a 6-point favorite pretty much everywhere, it looks like. Yeah, across the board, you can find a 5.5 out there if you need to. But yeah, the total is up to 59 now. And is that right? Yep, 59.5 at one spot. So it opened at 57. It went down a little bit. Now it's up to 59. I'm scared of this because I love Florida, and for whatever reason, the line isn't moving much, and it's 61% of the wagers here. What do you think here? I love the over because I think both of these defenses are trash, and I think these offenses can put up big plays.
Yeah, I still like Florida. I'm not afraid of this as long as it's under a touchdown. It's 60%. That's not a huge advantage, and the number has come down. You can get it at 5.5, so that seems about right for the percentage of where it's moving to. You also got to remember A&M has a massive national fan base. They're gonna have a lot of money on their games all the time, and so that doesn't concern me at all. The line not moving. I think the line's wrong. I think the line should be closer to 8.5 or 9 around the 2 score mark. But so as long as it's under a touchdown, I'm still in Florida. I still feel good.
Frank jumps in, said Gators, baby. Bro Dibble said that Florida D is garbage, but Florida will cover it. Well, that's the other side, is that Texas A&M secondary is slow, and Florida has got some skill weapons, man. They got guys.
They got athletes out there, and they're gonna kind of make hay all over the field, I think.
Oh, absolutely. Let's see. You got questions on Virginia and NC State. Hey, by the way, we are going to hit on that one, but we're going to have a little Q&A at the end of the show. We're going to try and roll through these fairly quickly, but then we'll have a Q&A for any other games that we have not hit because there are so many going on right now. So hopefully you guys will stick around and ask some questions at the end. Oklahoma -3 over Texas right now. That is the current line. And the total has gone from 71 up to 74.5. I think most people are looking at this as there's no way that Oklahoma has 3 straight losses. They don't open up 0-3 in the Big 12, et cetera, et cetera. I think this is a good spot for Texas. I think this is a down Oklahoma year. Yeah, Texas did not look good against TCU, but they do have the senior quarterback. They've got experience. I kind of like Texas in this spot. It's not an official play for me, but I'm going to have a quarter of a unit, half a unit on Texas just to win outright because I think Texas is a better team this year. Am I crazy for this?
Yeah, I think you're crazy for that. I don't know that Texas is better than Oklahoma. I think the two teams are alike than these two teams. So to say that one is definitively better than the other one, I think is a little bit asinine. So,
Yeah, it's a coin flip. You're basically betting on who makes the most mistakes or who makes the.
And I'll tell you, this didn't play for not a ball, not a game. Interested in on one way. You like the under and keep going over. And we talked about this even when the under 7-2. That just because two teams have bad defenses doesn't mean they're going to score balls. These offenses make a lot of mistakes. And this played in the big time with a lot of overs. So both these teams ball over in the red zone a lot this year. And that leads to lower scoring points, not higher scoring points. So neither here nor there. It's a different way of looking at it. I do like to go against the trends. The fact that these two teams are so evenly matched every year, and Texas has covered 5 straight. I think the idea that they're covered 6 straight, it's just at some point in time that trend will break because they're too evenly matched. And then also the same thing, Oklahoma's starting out 3-0. It's just something I don't know that I've ever seen in my life. If I had to pick it, I'd just blindly take Oklahoma just because I think both those trends have to break. But that's my only logic. There's no football logic in it. I'll tell you that. Yeah. I think these two teams are as even as I've ever seen any two teams play.
Yeah, be rad. And so you've been cutting in and out a little bit. So a bunch of people jumping in saying it's chopped up, sound check, et cetera, et cetera. So we will fix this. We told you at the beginning of the show, we're in the middle of a hurricane right now, or the remnants of one. So it's going to be a little weird, but we are plugged in Ethernet style. We are all good, and we're just going to see what happens. So with that said, I'm on Texas. Chris is on Oklahoma. That's not official plays. It just is what it is. People asking about Army, their quarterback is questionable. I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. I don't know what's going on there. So I think Army should be able to beat Colgate fairly easily, but I ain't touching it. So NC State and Virginia. Virginia was a 9.5-point favorite. They are down to a 7-point favorite, and the total has gone from 59.5 down to about 58.5. I think this is about where it should be. The question that I have here is, I think NC State is hit or miss every week, right? So they go to Virginia Tech and they get absolutely blasted, and then they show up at Pitt and they look good again. Virginia, I don't know if they're a good team. I know that they're an incredibly well-coached team. I love Bronco Mendenhall. I love what he does, and I like this new quarterback. And this team looks good. They do all the fundamentals correctly. I wonder which NC State we're going to get, and I wonder if Virginia is actually good or if Clemson was just, going through the motions against them. Chris, you got any thoughts here?
The only thought is I think the line moved to where it should be. So I thought this game should come around 6.5 to a touchdown. That's where it is now. There's no way on earth I liked Virginia at 9.5. I would have gladly taken North Carolina State there. Now that it's where it needs to be, I'm off this game completely because I think the number got where I think the game's going to be.
That makes sense. That makes sense. All right, moving into South Carolina and Vanderbilt. This is rotation 337, 338. South Carolina opened a 10.5-point favorite. Total was at 48.5. Now South Carolina is a 13.5-point favorite, which obviously you can go to sbrodds.com or sbrpicks.com/NCAAF and do your shopping for your lines, of course. But South Carolina, 13.5-point favorite now, and that total has dropped from 48.5 all the way down to 41. That is 7.5 points for a total to drop, and the favorite is going up. This terrifies me. This is an official play for me. I like South Carolina here because you have got a coach that is basically on the hot seat. Yep. And this is the one shot to go out and get a win, right? At least your most likely win, because you got Auburn and LSU and A&M coming up right after this. You did not win either of the first 2 games against Tennessee and Florida. You got to get this Vandy W, and you need to do it convincingly to get your guys back ready to roll through this SEC West slate that they're about to do. I think South Carolina is the significantly better team. I don't think that Vanderbilt will be able to score. I don't think South Carolina is in a position to be able to overlook this game. You feel the same way, I would imagine, right?
So I think the line for the total going down is exactly what should have happened. It was way too big. Vanderbilt's going to struggle to score. Okay, they just are. There's a world in which.
Hey, let me stop you right there. Melton Barnes, before you said that, Melton Barnes jumped in on the chat and said, Vandy's going to struggle to win a game in my Chris voice.
There you go. That's right. They are. They get Missouri this year, and that's going to be a little slapping match that we're all going to kind of probably not watch, but that's okay. They're gonna have a hard time scoring, and I like South Carolina. I like the new OC. I love the quarterback. I think swagger. I think they can make plays. They're not hanging 40 on anybody. Okay, they could play this game 8 quarters. They're not hitting 40 points. All right, that's just the truth. So the under should have come down. I'd still play the under, but my official pick is anything under 14 is the starting, and that is the line of demarcation for Vanderbilt when they play any SEC team not named Missouri. That's where the number has to start. If it starts under that, you just keep piling on the favorite until it gets to 14. This line almost got there. I said that it should have been there, and I'm getting pretty close to where they're moving these lines to. I just can't pick the damn game right. But I still like Vanderbilt because it's still under 14. I'm really glad I have them at 10.5. I mean, I feel like that's stealing money. So
you like South Carolina.
Right? South Carolina, yes. I'm sorry. Yeah. Florida slip bad. Don't like Vanderbilt at all.
Let's see. Nims jumps in and said Vandy always plays South Carolina good. That is not exactly correct.
I don't know that. I don't know that I know they have played them good. I don't know if they always played them good.
So South Carolina is 6-3-1 against the spread against them in the last 10. They've won 10 straight against them. They've covered multiple in a row. I mean, they're rocking and rolling. Yeah. So it is what it is. We got questions about the UL Monroe game that's coming at the end of the show. No worries. Moving into staying in the noon slate, by the way, Virginia Tech, and let's talk about this right quick. Virginia Tech and North Carolina. Line opened at 4.5. It's down to 3 in favor of North Carolina. The total opened at 60. It's down to 57. I think both of those line movements are exactly what I expected. Yep. I am a big believer in this Justin Fuente team, and they get back this week. And I think Virginia Tech wins this game outright.
I do too, man. I do too. I think that I'm not gonna say the wrong team is favored, but because I think you still have to have North Carolina favored, but I think this game should be as close to a pick 'em as possible.
Yes, because I think Virginia Tech has got the better offensive and defensive lines.
I agree.
I believe that North Carolina is just overhyped. I mean, what are they, number 8 in the country in the rankings? I mean,
they are ranked 8 right now, and that's just a little ridiculous to me.
That's absurd.
Yeah, so that's wrong. It's wrong. It's flat out wrong. North Carolina is a good team. They are not a great team.
Yes, I don't believe that this is a top 25 or a top 10 team.
Excuse me. I'd say I do think they're probably top 25 team. I like them. I'm not crapping on them that much. Easy.
Let's close out with this last one. I know you wanted to jump on this one before we move into the afternoon slate, and that would be Missouri and LSU live from Columbia, Missouri at 12 o'clock Eastern time. LSU opened a 19-point favorite. That line jumped up to about 20.5. And then they moved the game, and they moved it back to Columbia, Missouri, and it is now LSU minus 14.5. It was down at 14 when it moved. The total has sat about the same. I mean, it's 54, so it just stays right there. Go ahead, tell me your thoughts here, because it moved like 6 points.
I don't understand. We have 5 weeks of history telling us home field advantage just does not matter. It just isn't playing anything into the outcome of these games consistently. To drop a line 6 points because they moved it, and they were preparing to play a night game at LSU, and so last minute they all have to change their mindset. Come on, these guys travel for games every other week. This is nothing new to these players whatsoever. All right. And it's not like their travel was last minute. They traveled the exact same time they would have normally traveled had it been. So it's just the practice. Do you think these teams practice differently when they're going to play a home game as opposed to when they're going to play a road game? No, they're prepared for an opponent. You're preparing to block a certain kind of defensive scheme. You're preparing to run a specific kind of offense. You're preparing to stop a specific kind of offense on defense. You don't give a shit that the game is home or away when you're preparing for the game outside of maybe preparing for crowd noise, which you're not worried about today. So who cares? 6 points is ridiculous.
I agree with you. I agree. King jumped in on YouTube, by the way, said, damn, Chris likes my pick. I'm dead.
Yeah. No, I would tell you, it's definitely the KOD. All right.
It's
kiss of death.
It's not been great, but hey,
last week I went 500, and that's the best all year. So
no, I think you're in a spot where you can dig out of this thing, and
it really sucked losing the first game of the week last night, though. That just made me feel like I'm just set up for doom tonight.
James Little said Charlotte versus North Texas. How do you guys have it in that game, please? We're doing a Q&A at the very end.
We'll hit it at the end for you.
We'll hit it at the end. No worries. Y'all stick around with us. Stick around.
Somebody said raining hard in Vandy. That leads better to the to the under, and it also leads more to South Carolina just whomping that ass.
But if it's just rain,
because South Carolina can run the football all day long.
Yes,
and Vanderbilt ain't gonna do that.
You are correct about that. Let's move to the afternoon slate right quick. Tennessee at Georgia is 321, 322 rotation numbers. Georgia minus 14.5 is what it opened. The total was 43.5. That is down to Georgia minus 12 and the total of 42.5. I think that this is an absolute slobber knocker. This is two teams that want to run the football, two coaches that are incredibly risk averse. They are not going to throw a lot of deep passes. They're not going to run a lot of crazy stuff in this game. They know each other incredibly well. Jim Chaney, the offensive coordinator at Tennessee, was the offensive coordinator at Georgia. This is all based on which team makes a mistake, because these lines are both really, really good. Now, Georgia, I think, has the better lines. I think I'm going to ride with Tennessee today, plus the 12. This is not an official pick, but I do think that I like Tennessee here because I think that it's going to be incredibly low scoring. I would go under that 42.5. This screams like a 24-13 kind of game, where it's and I don't know who would win. I mean, 17-10 would probably be the right kind of game for these coaches.
Yeah, I was about to say 24 to what did you say? 30?
13.
Oh, okay. I misheard. I was like, I don't see that score at all. 24-13 maybe closer. Yeah, 17-10. I could see that. I think this is going to be a close football game, and I kind of think it's going to be low scoring too. When I heard 24-30, I was like, we're not thinking the same game at all. But maybe hell, it could be that. I don't know.
I mean, 24-13 if Georgia, does what they did to Auburn, but I think Tennessee is a significantly better team than Auburn this year, just because of the line play. Let's move into Texas Tech and Iowa State. This is 3:30 p.m. Eastern time on ABC. 325, 326 rotation numbers. Opened at Iowa State minus 13, total of 63.5. It is now at Iowa State minus 13 with a total of 64.5. Nobody knows what's going to go on with Alan Bowman, Texas Tech's quarterback. They are still listing him as day-to-day. They seemed, Matt Wells, the head coach at Texas Tech, seems to believe that there is a strong possibility that Bowman will play, even if he does not. The quarterback, Henry Colombi, came in last week and looked okay against Kansas State. He didn't get the win. He didn't get the cover. I kind of didn't expect him to. But he looked pretty good, especially because he already knows Matt Wells' offense. He's a grad transfer from Utah State, which is where Wells was before. He knows this offense in and out. He's going to be prepped for this. So Iowa State always puts up a little something extra for the Oklahoma game. I still don't believe that Iowa State is a really good team this year.
They're not.
So, just because they beat a bad Oklahoma team, I don't think should put them at 13 points. I'm all over Texas Tech here. I like Texas Tech to be able to cover this. I don't know if they win the game, but
Yeah. The Colonel just came in, says Iowa State coming off a big win. They're way overpriced, way too many points. This is a too many points for home field advantage, too many points for overhype in Iowa State for the win last week. And this is just a gimme all the Red Raiders I can get.
Yes. SEC play. Let's jump into that. Arkansas at Auburn. Auburn opened a 16-point favorite. This is a rotation 329, 330. Auburn opened 16 and 53.5. The total has dropped from 53.5 all the way down to 45. And Auburn is now only a 14-point favorite. It's a 4 p.m. Eastern time game on the SEC network. I am all over Auburn here. Way too many people buying into what happened last week. Just because Arkansas beat Mississippi State does not make Arkansas a good football team.
On national TV, the biggest game of the weekend, we saw Auburn get dismantled.
Yes, but it happens all the time. And the same thing happens in this game every single year. Auburn destroys this team under Gus Malzahn.
We like going against what we just saw the week before. Consistently, people always overreact week to week to everything. And I try to take myself back and say, what did I think 3 weeks ago? What did I think before the season started? Now, sometimes that has helped me. Last night, it hurt me. I thought Louisville was a good team before the season started. Georgia Tech was a bad team. Didn't work out that way. I think Auburn's still a good football team, and I kind of think Arkansas way better than I thought they would be, but still not a good football team.
Yeah, I mean, they just got a ways to go. ACC play, 311, 312. Pitt opened -3.5. It is now at Pitt -6.5 at Boston College. I mean, that is just absurd line movement. Opened at 44.5, dropped down to 42.5. That's about what I thought it would do. These are two teams that really don't care anything about scoring points. So that's the biggest part of this. I love Boston College here, +6.5. This makes no sense and I understand home field advantage doesn't really matter that much, but Pitt got to go on the road to Boston. I like Boston College in this spot. This is way too many points here. This looks like a field goal game either way. And Pitt, their offense has done nothing for me. And their defense, who I thought that I could trust, I can't trust them anymore. So
this is a team I can't figure out at all is Pitt. And here's the sad thing is they're kind of a weird team to watch. I just don't even know what I'm watching sometimes. So until I can figure things out about them, I'm with you. If I had to pick this game, I think BC's got a chance to win this football game. I don't think Pitt's that much better than them, and hell, they might not be better than them at all.
TJ jumps in. TJ97. Do they give their official picks at the end? We gave our official picks from Tuesday's show at the beginning of this show, and we're going to give you some best bets and whatnot, things that we really like for today. So no worries. But as we go through the games, we'll let you know how we feel about these games. No worries. Temple. Oh, we've also got our articles up over at sbrpicks.com/NCAAF. You can go over there and get our official picks as well. Let's see. Did you guys go over Virginia Tech? Sorry, I'm late. Yes, we did. We both like Virginia Tech. We'll go ahead and tell you that. Kansas State at TCU. TCU opened -8.5. That is up to TCU -10. That is insane. And I'll tell you why momentarily. The total opened at 54.5. It is down to 49.5, and I think that's probably about right. These are two coaches that would prefer to just slam their heads into each other, and eventually somebody gets into the end zone. Right?
Yes. Yeah. Not a lot of creative offensive scheming going on here.
Correct. And there will be some stuff, right? Like I like Max Duggan from TCU. I also like Kansas State, regardless of who is under center. I like Skylar Thompson, the quarterback, or if he is not in, I like the quarterback, Will Howard. He came in and looked just fine in that Chris Kleiman offense last week. They are going to be just fine today. TCU, again, the same thing with Iowa State, who always puts a little something extra into the Oklahoma game and then drops off the next week. TCU always puts a little something extra into the Texas game. That is a rivalry game. They always do it. They're 0-5 against the spread the last 5 years, the game after Texas, whether they win or lose. So it's not as easy to get hyped up for Kansas State as it is for Texas. So I'm all over Kansas State today, regardless of who's playing quarterback. It doesn't matter to me. Skylar Thompson or Will Howard, they're both just fine in that offense. I think Kansas State is going to be able to keep this game close, and I think they could even possibly win the game. I mean, we'll see. Yeah. But I don't have
a strong feeling one way or another. I think 10's just a ridiculous amount of points.
In the Big 10 or Big 12, I feel like anything over a touchdown is just kind of crazy.
Yeah, I don't think any of these teams are a touchdown better than any of the other ones.
No, you're right.
That's just ridiculous.
Temple and Navy, and goodness gracious, this line opened as a pick'em. Temple is now 3.5-point favorites. The total opened at 47. It is now 51, and this is at Navy. So I think we all saw Navy do what they did to Tulane, and we thought, okay, hold on, did they get it corrected? Like, what's going on? And then we figured out, oh, Tulane's just bad in some halves. So I still don't think Navy's very good. They got demolished by an Air Force team that was missing 20 some odd dudes that had experience playing. And, you know, I mean, they got beat 40-7. So now everybody, of course, is Navy's not a good football team. I tend to agree with that. I don't necessarily like Temple's head coach, Rod Carey. I don't know what it is. He did not impress me all that much last season. However, I do like their quarterback, Anthony Russo. Temple has always been able to play well against, you know, Navy and these kind of teams. They can stop the run. They can play in the trenches. I don't know what this Temple roster looks like. This is Navy's 4th game this season against a team that is playing their first game of the year. That is terrifying. They got no film on these guys. So
I don't listen. All the film in the world ain't helping them stop anybody. This Navy team is bad at football. Okay, that Temple game is a fluke. It'll never happen again. This Navy team is not good. I'll be continuing to fade them. It bit me once. It's paid off twice. It's going to pay off a third time. I don't know anything about this Temple team. What I know about Temple football is they play tough, hard-nosed football. They play everybody tough. I think this line moved exactly the way it was supposed to move. I thought this should have been a field goal game, or maybe, you know, a little more. That's where the line went. That's what everybody else thinks. And I just can't put one nickel on this Navy football team. I just can't.
I've got people asking about the Navy team total over. I don't
know what the team total is.
I am pulling it up as we speak. But you know, what about the total in the game? 51. The team total for Temple is 27.5. Team total for Navy 23.5. I like Temple's over for sure. The team total, the 51.
I would stay away from it. If you told me I had to make a pick on it, I would take the over because I don't know anything about Temple's defense. I know this. I do think the triple option might give them some problems. Okay, and so they might have a tough time stopping it. Navy can't stop anybody. I mean, I got 16 people on my phone right now that I could probably call, put up together an offense, and in a week go score on Navy. And I am not friends with athletes. Okay, they're just bad at tackling.
Yeah, they really are.
I have no idea what Temple's team's going to look like. No clue. They're going to be tough in the trenches because they've been tough in the trenches the last 10 years of my life. Okay, so I just know that they're going to be real tough in the trenches, and I think they can score because of that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Let's move into the evening slate. We'll knock through 4 games right quick, and then we will do a quick Q&A at the end of this deal. Let's start off with Florida State and Notre Dame. It's 353, 354 rotation numbers. Notre Dame opened a 21.5-point favorite. Then it dropped down. Now it's back up to Notre Dame minus 21 again. I would imagine that will keep climbing as the day goes. The total opened at 54. It's down to 53.5. I think that I would go over that total because I think that Notre Dame's line is going to be able to dominate. But I expect Florida State to be able to get at least some garbage time points. They've got a new quarterback, Jordan Travis, who was impressive, albeit against Jacksonville State. But I think that Norvell will use this season and every game this season to continue playing. They're not just going to quit.
Nope.
They will continue going at the end of these games, and that tends to lead to more overs. So I would go over the 54, even if it ends up being like the Miami game that's 52-10. I know you love Notre Dame here.
Love Notre Dame. I'm getting a little worried. I like that I got them at 20.5. Right now it's sitting at 21. I think it's smart to get them at 21 before the hook kicks in, because I do think by game time this hook is probably going to kick in. And my only concern is backdoor covers and garbage time. I think Notre Dame's going to roll them, But I'm with you. Norvell's going to keep playing. He's going to play all 60 minutes of offense. If they're getting destroyed, they're still going to try to make big plays and showcase this young talented quarterback and whatever other skill players they've got. He's working to recruit, and he's got to show people we're going to run a fun offense. I think they're going to struggle early, but late, if Notre Dame starts making a lot of subs and just trying to get some depth built up, I worry a little bit about the backdoor cover if it gets over 3 touchdowns.
I'm with you. All right, Miami at Clemson, the biggest game of the night. ABC, it is 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. Rotation number 317, 318. Clemson opened as a 14.5-point favorite. The total was 65. That total has since come down to 59.5. And Clemson is now a 15-point favorite. I got to tell you, Louisville getting their brains beat in at Georgia Tech last night did not do Miami any favors whatsoever as far as their perception in this game.
Yep.
I am leaning with Clemson to be able to cover this because I think that Miami has just beat up on some not very good teams. Like, I think that's which way I'm going. Now, would it surprise me if Miami is able to scheme a couple of things? They had a week off last week. They are ready for this Clemson game. However, Clemson kind of lives for these spots, right? Like, they've got one good game that they've got to get out there and beat somebody's brains in every year. And they don't care about the Virginias and the North Carolina states and the whatever.
Wake Forest, yeah.
They just don't care about that. They just win and get through it and play 100 guys and they're done. This game, you might actually have a real challenger. You've got a top 10 team coming in. I think Clemson shows up in a big, big way. And there's a lot of people that, of course, are, well, Miami can do this. My bottom line is Clemson has got the better roster. Clemson has got the better quarterback, the better running back, the better wide receivers, the better, I think Clemson is the overall better football team. I'm going to roll Clemson minus 15. Now, it's not a big play for me, but I think I would love to see a good game. Mac Pizzle jumped in and said, I just want to see a good game. That's what I want. I want this to be entertaining, but I think that Clemson is just significantly better. And over the course of a full game, I think they win by more than 2 touchdowns easily.
So, you know my hatred for Clemson, my just complete dislike for them. Here's the issue. This team is 0-3 against the spread so far in this season because they just have not cared about a single football game they've played. They don't care about this one. And I have a feeling that they're going to say, the whole world's watching. We're only going to get 2 games all year where everybody's going to watch us. It's this game and Notre Dame. And so we're going to beat the hell out of these fools. I want Miami to be able to hang with them. I want Clemson to bring their best and Miami to bring their best and Miami to still keep this thing tight. I don't know that I'm going to get what I want. Yeah.
I'm with you. I want it to be close. I want a good game. I want something interesting, but I don't think we're going to get there. Darren McCardle said, any chance of a Miami upset?
There's a chance. There's a world. Yeah.
I mean, there's always a chance. Yeah. I mean, that's
why we play the game.
As my allergies are acting up some kind of crazy. All right, we got 2 more games to discuss. Let's talk about Alabama and Ole Miss from Oxford. The game got moved from 5 p.m. back to 6:30. I think actually that puts them more in line to be able to get more rain.
I know.
It's a little weird.
I don't want to tell you about my Nick Saban conspiracies, okay?
The whole thing's ridiculous. But Alabama opened as a 24-point favorite. They are down to a 23-point favorite. The total opened at 78.5. It dropped all the way down to 66 at one spot. Or not at one spot, but at multiple books at one point in the week. And now it's back up to 69 again because they expect these teams to still be able to score. The wins are not going to be quite as bad as everybody kind of assumed. I think we're going to get a lot of points here. I think that these are 2 coaches that, even though they will kind of jab back and forth in the media, I think Saban really does not like Lane Kiffin. If I had to go a certain way, I would go Alabama minus the 23, but I am staying as far away from this as possible. As an Alabama fan, it terrifies me because I think that Kiffin will draw up the craziest stuff that you have ever seen in your life. And I think that's why Chris is on Ole Miss here, right?
I'm on Ole Miss, and I'm hoping for is the weather gods just somehow this rain clears up for this football game, and we get to watch Ole Miss drop big play after big play after big play on Bama. Now listen, hear me when I say this. I'm not saying Ole Miss is going to win the game, okay? But 23 points is a lot of points, all right? And Alabama's defense has played two offenses that I don't think are great. And they continually give up big play passes. I think Ole Miss's offense has a chance to be really good. And they are going to hang 35 on Alabama if the weather is not insane. Now, Bama will not punt in this game. Hear me when I say this. Bama's going to score on every drive. They could put the field goal kicker and the punter back on the bus, okay? They don't need to be there, all right? But I think the Lane Train has an offense set up to where if the wet, but it's a big play down the field offense that doesn't work in a rainstorm. Okay, you can't look up and find the ball in rain, either hitting your eyes or covering the shield on your face mask, and find it. All right, it's just not going to work. If we can play this game in nice, perfect fall weather, I would take Ole Miss in a heartbeat. If it's a gully washer, like we say here in Mississippi, I get a little nervous.
There you go. All right, last SEC game, and then we're going to do the Q&A right quick. Mississippi State at Kentucky. It's 307, 308 rotation numbers. Kentucky opened -2.5. They're up to 3 now. Total opened at 55.5. It's up to 57.5. State is really good at stopping the run so far this season. Kentucky had issues with Ole Miss's passing game last week. Nobody knows exactly what to do. If I were just looking at analytics and whatnot, I would have State favored by like a point, even on the road here. I think they are the more talented team. I think they are the better team in this spot. However, you are going against a desperate Kentucky team that really did not believe that they were going to be 0-2 at this point in the season. I'm staying away from it, but if I had to go a certain way, I'm going Mississippi State with this because I think that they can win the game outright, and it would not shock me in the slightest. I think that they'll be able to throw the football on Kentucky.
I like Mike Leach coming off of a big embarrassing loss. I like him taking his team on the road and saying, you know what, let's get the hell away from Starkville for a minute. Let's stop reading our headlines after we went on the road and beat LSU, and let's realize that we got humbled last week, and we gotta right this ship, and we're gonna do it away from home. We're gonna do it together. We're gonna be one. I like that. The one thing that scares me, it's not football related. All the football relation tells me Mississippi State's the pick. Kentucky starting off 0-3 in the SEC is not something that I thought would happen. We liked this team before the season started to kind of be around 500. I think I had them maybe, one game below, but I think Kentucky's a pretty tough football team. They start off 0-3. They're in trouble. My problem is that's a feeling and not what I know from watching them. This Kentucky team plays sloppy. They turn the football over. They, on offense, I don't expect them to be great, but God, you can't be as sloppy as they've been the first two games. And that Ole Miss team, they're not a good defense at all, and they played sloppy against them. This State defense is worlds better than Ole Miss.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're 100% right. Let's dive into our Q&A. Let's
get it.
We've only got a few minutes, so if you guys want to jump in, I know we have had people ask about Charlotte and North Texas. If I had to go away on that one, it is sitting at Charlotte -2.5, -3 in some spots. I would still roll Charlotte even on the road. I think this is a better coached football team. North Texas can score. They cannot stop anybody. Will Healy will be able to put up points, and he has a team that knows how to play at least a little bit of defense. If you really wanted to go one way or the other, I'd probably go the over 67 in that one on Charlotte and North Texas. Jumping back through, seeing if I've got any. We had a Marshall, Western Kentucky question. Chris, do you like Marshall -6.5, -7 against Western Kentucky?
Yeah, I think I'm still good on 6.5 or 7. I'm still good at a touchdown. It opened at 4. I really liked it at 4. But I like this Marshall team, and I'm going to continue to ride with them. So one person asked a question, not necessarily this week related that I'd like to address.
Okay.
They said, does SBR require us to have what would be, I guess, a respectable record? This is our first year with them, and I'm going to say I hope not.
I'm not sure about that. I know that they want us.
We'll let you know next year if I continue to do this badly, if my contract is not re-upped.
There you go. We'll figure this out. So we do have somebody that said, I like BYU. They roll. That's Bro Dibbles. I am terrified of this.
Not me.
Who has been overperforming expectations, analytical expectations by far all year. Point spread expectations by far.
They've murdered everybody.
UTSA, I would think, would be able to keep this within 5 touchdowns, but who knows that I'm just not going to touch it. I'm not touching it. So
listen, I always stay away from these big 30-point numbers. If I was going to play one, it's BYU today.
Yep. T Good jumps in and said, what are the thoughts on Liberty? You know what? I was actually looking at that game.
Every week we get the Liberty question. We should be ready for it.
No. So Liberty is favored by a 17 and a half.
That number's come way down, man.
Yeah, it was 21.
Are they getting rain? They're not getting rain. Why would they?
I don't think so. But well, I mean, it's a noon game, so I don't.
4 points is a lot, though.
There's 56% of the public on Louisiana Monroe. I think Liberty is a significantly better football team. The question is, I don't know. Well, maybe I do know. I would roll Liberty. So
I mean, I like Liberty, and obviously I like Liberty better at 17 than I did at 21. I'm trying to figure out why
the line
went to
17. Louisiana Monroe finally found their offense last week. They put together a decent game. Let's see. Bro Double said you guys didn't talk about Cuse and Duke. Hey, that was one of your official picks.
That's one of my gambling picks. I like Syracuse. I think the wrong team's favored here. This Duke football team is the most undisciplined David Cutcliffe team I've ever watched in my life. Now, they're either going to get right or they're going to get beat. And Syracuse, not a great offense. Okay, their offense is getting better every week.
Yes,
they're getting better every week, but they're not elite. Syracuse defense is good. Syracuse defense, if Duke continues to play sloppy, they're going to continue to have 4 or 5 turnovers in this game.
Oh, yeah. No, you're right about that. Cody Ashworth jumps in and said, let's see, Virginia Tech, Mississippi State, Syracuse round robin. I actually have a round robin going with Kansas State. Hold on. Where do I have it? Kansas State, NC State. I do have Virginia Tech in there. I did not put Mississippi State in it. And then I do have Syracuse in there. So, yeah, that's one of my round robins this week. Let's see. Troy Brown said, I'm all over Florida -6.5. Not feeling that great about it. I'm in the same boat because I feel like that line should have continued to move up, and it hasn't. There's a lot of people talking about, Texas A&M at home. I just don't think Texas A&M is very good. Like, I moved them way, way down in my power ratings. So it is what it is. Let's see. What's the low-hanging fruit of the day, boys? Low-hanging fruit would probably be, I think my favorite pick is probably that Kansas State TCU game. I think that's my favorite one.
I think my favorite is Texas Tech.
I can get down with that. All these.
I don't know, man. LSU -14.5 against a bad football team.
Cream of Wheat Jones said, what is your feeling on Tennessee, Georgia over 43.5? I would play the under.
Yeah, I think both these two coaches want this game to go under. I think they would be disappointed if either one of them gave up 20 points.
James Little jumps in and said, Charlotte versus North Texas pick. Man, James, I just told you I would take Charlotte. Are you not listening, brother? What are you doing? What are you doing? J Stack said, facts, Chris. Troy versus Texas State. Hey, I like Texas State in this spot. I think that Troy looked really good against a bad MTSU team in one game. I don't think Troy is all that great the more that I watch them. So I've actually gone back and watched them in 2 games this past week because I've got all of them DVR'd. Thank you, YouTube TV and all the other streaming services that I own. But I am a massive fan of Texas State being able to keep this game close and maybe getting the upset. That's another one that I've gotten that round robin, by the way. So Liberty total, I ain't touching that total. No chance.
No, I'm not touching that either.
Perfect rotation said he's high, Gary. Don't mind him. All right. Let's see. What about Louisiana Tech and UTEP? Hey, that line is down to 14. I love Louisiana Tech in this spot. UTEP has looked okay so far this year. Louisiana Tech is a significantly better team than they showed against BYU. This is an overreaction line.
Yes, so I agree completely with that one.
Troy Brown, what about Alabama Ole Miss under 69.5? We just talked about that one. Gary, what about Charlotte versus North Texas? I swear to God, Pro Devils. Louisiana Tech, UTEP, just talked about that. Best bets, we just gave those. I like Kansas State the most, plus 10 against TCU.
I'll take Texas Tech plus 12.5.
Texas
13.
Tech.
I think you get 13.5 now.
Yeah, you certainly can. Certainly can. And so I've got Boston College. I've got Kansas State. I've got Auburn. I've got Texas Tech. I've got South Carolina, Virginia Tech, and the over in
Someone
Florida.
says Saban's the best DB coach in the country. Okay, that's a pretty good statement, but they're not playing that way right now.
No, they're certainly they got young guys. It just is what it is. So like
a lot of teams have young guys.
Yeah, but I'm saying that they're incredibly inexperienced. They're just not going to be ready for this game. I'm saying they might be good by the end of the season. They ain't right now.
They're going to look good in this game because the rain is going to slow down, and that was the Alabama bump that they get by the SEC. We're going to back it up to where it's more rain instead of moving it to a Friday.
Simon Coolhand said our Chris's picks on the website can't see them.
All right, so Chris, when Chris does an article, Chris is not a writer. All right, Chris writes an article for SBR because I'm asked to. I am not a writer. I don't enjoy that part of it. So I take 3 of my bets. I try to have some kind of a theme, and I only write about 3 of the many picks that I make. And on the article, 2 weeks in a row, I'm 0-3. And I started off last night 0-1. So I think the article picks are not good.
There you go. All right. Let's see. I had one question. Can you guys give me a 3-team teaser? I'll give you a 4. I've got Florida, South Carolina, Virginia Tech, and Temple. I think that is going to be it for today. We've got games starting in 9 minutes. I got to go get in a couple more bets because I have seen some line movement. So with that, here we go. Chris, is there anything else that we need to cover?
That's it. Let's get out of here.
That is it. All right. For Sportsbook Review, go to like the video, subscribe to the show, all that good stuff. We're kind of rushing on the way out of here, but subscribe to the channel, like this video, share it out, tell your friends about it. Leave your comments on the picks, of course, whichever pick you like for the day. We want to hear it. We want to go back and tell them what's going on. And with that said, for sportsbookreview.com, I'm Gary.
Chris.
And we will see you all again next time.